Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the CR7 Podcast. The RTGAC is back, and today, this is the final edition of the CR7 Podcast, coming to you live from my office room from Cole on the iPad. We will be back in studio live. I'm not sure about next week. That is debatable. Depends on if we can get in the studio. I mean, we'll obviously be allowed in the studio, but I'm not sure. My stream just restarted, but I'm not restarting the intro. Actually, you know what? Whatever. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the CR7 Podcast. The RTGAC is back, and today this is our last edition of the CR7 Podcast, coming to you live from my office from Cole on the iPad. We will be live. Not sure about next week, because obviously we are getting back into the swing of things, starting school. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to do that, but we definitely will be coming to you live the week after the first Eagles game, so we could be able to react to that. Might have Cole give his prediction for the Eagles on this edition. But yeah, that's an update there. Another update, with just a few more strings to pull, we will be coming to you live on Mondays from now on. That is going to be a change coming into the new school year. Some editions will be in the afternoon. Some editions will be in the morning based on our scheduling around the school day. So we will let you guys know how all that goes when we have to cross that bridge. And then we're adding more stuff to the CR7 Podcast. This year we'll be adding full-on interviews. You guys saw our interview last year with John Boggs last year. I thought that went really well. I'm sure Cole feels the same way. And then once we are able to get more guys involved, the higher-ups at WSJP, if you want to call it, have also been talking about getting interviews on certain podcasts. And since we are the number one podcast at St. Joe's Prep, I think that we would be a good fit for that. One last thing, or two more things. One, I'm going to be live tonight at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be live commentating North Dakota State versus Colorado. I've already written my roster list. Too many names on college football rosters, but that's that. And then Cole, I'm almost done with my MCU tour of movies. I'm currently watching the X-Men. I just have to watch I'm currently watching The Origins of Wolverine, and then I've got to watch The Last Stand, Apocalypse, The Wolverine, and Dark Phoenix. So we're getting very, very, very close here to finishing X-Men, and then I move on back to the MCU because I want to watch Deadpool and Wolverine. I just saw something on X really quick that just caught my eye. Something about the Eagles. I didn't really get to read it. Oh, no. We have some bad news coming out of Philadelphia. And Cole, before we start here, I will break this bad news to you. Coming from Ian Rappaport, James Bradbury has suffered a lower leg injury during yesterday's practice, not requiring surgery, though he will be out for 6 to 8 weeks. Can you give a reaction on that?
Yeah, I mean, you hate to see that happen, but we do have a bye week in there, so I wouldn't say it's great timing, but beginning of the season, I thought he'd, especially coming in at safety, he'd be solid for us, but yeah, that just stinks because now it's Sidney Brown and James Bradbury out for safeties. But we still have Blankenship and, CJ Gardner-Johnson. But yeah, that does suck.
Not a good thing, obviously. The bad thing about this is that you lose a depth piece, but, we were talking about moving him over to safety in in this upcoming season. I would argue that we do have a lot of guys that can flip over to safety. We obviously have our normal safeties. We have Blankenship. We have CJ Gardner-Johnson. You just mentioned that Sidney Brown will be out for a couple of games. I'm one of his biggest fans. But we do have guys that can move over to safety from the cornerback position. That being guys like Avonte Maddox. That being guys like Cooper DeJean. I don't think Quinyon Mitchell though can move over. So we do have other guys at safety that can move over. I would say that what do you call it? Oh my, I'm blanking out here. I would say that this is bad. Obviously, once again, we're losing a depth piece. This is good, or it's not good in any way, shape, or form. But we do have people to cover up. But yeah, hopefully we will. Hopefully we'll be fine without him. I assume we will be. The younger guys are gonna have to step up. Yeah. So we'll move on here. We will move on to our weekly Phillies recap. After that, I don't know if I want to say fiasco of a start, a interesting start. Cole, last time since we have talked, which was last Tuesday, so we got a couple more games to cover. The Phillies have went 5-4. Talk about this team.
All right, so I'll start with the Braves series. I mean, you lose to the Braves, but we do have an upcoming series against them. 4 games, so hopefully you win that series. I'll get to that a little bit later. First game, Wheeler comes out. He throws great. I mean, 8 strikeouts, 6 innings, two runs. I mean, what are you going to do? Ozuna, he got one over the plate. He's a great hitter. He's probably the best hitter on that team. Other than that, it wasn't that bad. Reynaldo Lopez threw great for them, and then, their bullpen just shut it down pretty much. But yeah, I mean, Alvarado, I'm going to go back to him. He has not been good at all. He threw like 30 pitches in that last inning. In the bottom of the 8th. And, I mean, he just did not look good at all. I mean, they had to put Lazar in. I will say Lazar has been great for us. But, yeah, I mean, he just walked way too many guys. He completely fell apart there. 4 walks in that. And he only got 2 outs. So that's just, his ERA is almost 5 at this point. So I'm not a fan of Alvarado right now because he's just been so bad for us. And then you go on to the next game. I mean, Arcia staring down Harper at first base here. Oh, boy. They ended up coming back. Props to them. Or props to us, maybe. So Nola, I mean, he was solid. I thought he got rocked a little bit. 8 hits is a little bit much for me. Walked 2 guys, 2 earned runs. He kept it to a minimum. It was an okay start. I mean, he didn't go 6. He got pulled with 1 out in the 5th. But then the bullpen locked it down for us. 0 runs. Hoffman, Strahm, Kirkland, Tevez, all, holding it down. And this is a solid Braves team. I mean, obviously they have a ton of injuries, but, Whit Merrifield has been hot for them. Ozuna always has pop. And then you go into the last game, and the score just pretty much flips. I will say Christopher Sanchez, I thought he looked really, really good this game. He just happened to get, a bunch of hits with guys in scoring position. He did get hit around 9 hits, but I like the 8 strikeouts. He really used that changeup very well. He kept hunting it with the fastball. I really liked what I saw from him. No one really else was good that game. Romuto had a double. That's pretty much it. And then, Adam Duvall was hot for the Braves, 3 for 3 with a home run. And then Schwellenbach was just dealing. I thought he was going to go 7, but, they pulled him there in the 7th after Romuto doubled. 6 2/3 with 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts, though. We need to limit our strikeouts. We need to put the ball in play a little bit more. I'll talk about the Astros game a little bit later. Then you go into this Royals series, and, you lose the first one, and then you put up 2 11 spots in the next 2 games. I believe Waka pitched the first game. Yeah, he pitched very well. And then we finally got to Bubik there in the 8th, but it just was not enough. Taijuan Walker. Taijuan Walker needs to be DFA'd immediately. I fired Dombrowski because if I don't see a notification today, this is too much. Ryan, I don't know if you knew this, but I was at the game last night. It was a disgrace. I have not seen a worse starting pitcher in my life. And that's saying something because, I've seen a lot of bad starting pitchers. Yeah, I mean, this game, after Walker came out, I mean, it was pretty much on wraps. I mean, Phillies are 0-8 in their last 8. We have a new Tobias Harris in town. I mean, what's new? And then, I'll just, Ranger, great game, coming back from rehab. We put a lot of runs on in the 8th and the 9th, and then this was the JT Realmuto game with the 7 RBIs. And then the next game was the Stubbs game. Great all around. Both two games there. And then you go into this Astros series feeling very well. You go into the first game. Harper walks you off in the 10th. Just, great job by him. Turner had multi-hits. Stott had multi-hits. And then Wheeler was so solid this game. I really liked what he did. And then the bullpen was just completely locked down. We'd love to see. I feel like we have our guys in the bullpen that can lock it down. I'm really, really liking Lazar. Other guys, Kirk, Ring, Hoffman, Estevez, Strom. I mean, these guys have been solid the last week. I was going to say Estevez hasn't been looking good, but he's starting to turn it around, Ryan. I'm pretty fired up about that. And then the next one, Castellanos, he powered us to the win. And then Nola absolutely dealt. 7 innings, 4 hits, only 1 walk and 6 strikeouts. You love to see that from him because, after that last pretty much bad start. And then this game, Ryan. 10-0, no-hitter into the 8th. I mean, we got shut out. Alvarez, 3 home runs. This is the game you need to flush. This is the game where Taijuan Walker gets sent down to AAA. What is he doing? I mean, I go into this game, I'm like, Taijuan Walker, we probably might lose. But this Arrighetti guy, he probably won't, he'll probably keep it close. No. This guy was absolutely dealing. I want to say a bad job by everyone on the Phillies lineup, except for Austin Hayes, who broke up the no-hitter in the 8th. Arrighetti, 11 strikeouts. I think it was 9 strikeouts through 5 innings. I mean, this Phillies team, they just love striking out. I mean, I get it. Schwarber likes to strike out. Harper, he hasn't been great. Other guys, Castellanos, Stubbs, these guys are all striking out at a pretty high rate. And when you take into account that, this Astros team is piling on runs. I mean, you look at the first, they didn't score in the 3rd or the 2nd. They scored in the 5th and the 6th, and they didn't score in the 9th. They scored in pretty much every frame. 5 spot in the 4th, 3 spot in the 8th off Mercado. My thoughts on him. He is just horrible. His ERA is over 11 now. Taijuan Walker and Michael Mercado, they need to get up out of here. Weston Wilson should have started this game. Frustrated. I don't know what to expect going into this Braves series. I know you got, your top 4 guys with Sanchez, Wheeler, Nola, Ranger. I don't know what order they're in, but I know that's who we're going with. So hopefully you can hold the Braves offense down, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing. And then after the Braves, you got the Blue Jays, 2 games split with them. I believe it's at Toronto, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing. It was good in the beginning, but this last Houston game, I'm afraid is going to affect them going into the series against the Braves. I'll turn it over to you, Ryan.
First thing, before I get to this Taijuan Walker, because Cole is always Cole. I always say Cole's a little nicer than me when it comes to analysis. But
I like that contrast, though. I think it's a good.
Yeah, I got you. But I will say the hitting is not particularly the problem. I just think on certain days they just. And I think on too many days.
They stink it up.
I think on too many days there's a problem. I got a stat yesterday before yesterday's game. Nick Castellanos was batting 305 with 13 RBIs in his last 15 games. Realmuto 352 with 14 RBIs in his last 15. Trey Turner 323 with 8 RBIs in his last 15. And Bryce Harper batting 321 over the last week. So it's clear that the Phillies hitting is not the particular problem. It's just that on certain days they just can't hit the ball.
Yeah, subs.
Right.
This August.
Right. So yeah, I would argue that it's the pitching more or less. But getting into the individual games, I mean, this Braves series, you just don't put up any runs. I mean, I think the pitching did its job for the most part. You just did absolutely terrible. I mean, 1 run in this first game here, 1-3. I mean, nobody could hit the ball. I mean, you look at this here, Schwarber 0 for 4, Turner 0 for 4, Harper 0 for 4. The first 3 guys going 0 for 4, the guys that set the tone for the game, you can't have that. Bohm, I feel like he's been under the radar as of late when it comes to hitting the baseball. I thought he hasn't done a terrible job. Stott, once again, he's someone that has to pick it up. I'm tired of hearing, Bryson Stott, and he's not hitting the baseball. Wheeler, not a bad outing. I mean, 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, only 2 earned runs. The hitting's got to get that done. So that was bad there. And then you go into this next game here, 3-2. You barely pull this one out. Somehow Matt Strom gets the win. This is why MLB winning, the way you get wins in the MLB needs to be studied. But I mean, once again, the top 3, 1 for 4 for Schwarber, 0 for 3 for Turner, 0 for 4 for Harper. These guys, once again, set the tone for the lineup. This is what I really want to talk about when it comes to the hitting. When these guys don't hit the baseball, we don't hit the baseball at all. Nobody hits. I mean, and this, I don't even know who this Weston Wilson is, man, but this guy's been on an absolute tear as of late. I mean, this guy, 2 for 3 in this game. I mean, we really got to think about making some room for this guy, because if we want to win sooner, this guy could be the answer. And then you go into Thursday's game. I mean, once again, the score is just flipped. I mean, what do you call it? But this guy, whoever this guy is, Schwellenbach, whatever the hell. I mean, this guy got 19 straight outs. We didn't get a hit for 19 straight at-bats. That, once again, that is a problem. And once again, Schwarber 0 for 2, Turner 0 for 4, Harper 1 for 4. Hit the baseball. Hit the baseball. It sets the tone. Why Castellanos was batting 4 is just absolutely ridiculous. It should have been Realmuto, but I digress. But yeah, I mean, not really much you can do about this game, in my opinion. I feel like that you had the momentum in the 7th to, do something. You had guys on base. You had Realmuto on second in the 7th inning. And then, Marsh, Weston Wilson, who kind of came back down to earth in this game, just can't hit the baseball. Listen, when I played baseball more or less full time, I couldn't hit for nothing. I always batted ninth. I played catcher, for God's sakes. But I mean, holy hell! You're telling me that you can't get 1 hit at least every 20 at bats, and when you're making $20 million per year, you can't tell me that. And then you go into the Royals series was pretty good for the most part. I would argue that the pitching was the reason you lost in the first game. That Perez was just really, really well. But once again, it was Tyjon Walker. I mean, he comes in for 3 innings and, he just stinks up the joint. Absolutely terrible. I'll get into him later with the Astros and all. 4 runs, not bad. That can definitely win you a baseball game. But, of course, Tyjon Walker giving up his 6 earned runs doesn't really help anyone. But then in the rest of the series, I mean, you just do really, really well. Everybody hits. Everybody scores. I mean, you couldn't really go wrong. You see, as I mentioned in this game, Schwarber 2 for 5, Turner 3 for 5, Harper 1 for 5. When these guys are hitting the baseball, the rest of the lineups is hitting. Castellanos 2 for 4, Stott 4 for 4, Realmuto 3 for 5, Marsh 1 for 5, Hayes 1 for 4. I mean, when these guys hit, it sets the tone. They really have to start hitting the baseball. As I mentioned, they were. That's a little stat. Harper, Turner, they were hitting the baseball, over these past week or two or whatever. But yeah, once again, you got to keep hitting the baseball. And then Saturday, pretty much the same thing. Everybody hits, everybody scores. Schwarber 2 for 5, Turner 3 for 5, Harper 1 for 5. And once again, when these guys hit, everybody hits. So you got to keep that going. I think that's the method to the madness. Then you come into this Astros series, you take 2 or 3. I'm pretty proud of that, honestly. I'm happy that you took 2 or 3 series here. You win 3-2 here. Harper bails you out in the end. You love to see it. Then 5-0. I mean, nothing really could go wrong. Aaron Nola with a pretty good game, I would say. Obviously no earned runs, 7 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts. I once again call my criticism with him is that he pitches way too many pitches. I'm sure you agree with that. But then we get into this game with Taijuan Walker, 10-0. I mean, this guy is the epitome of a disgrace. What has he lost? The last 8 starts? You have got to be kidding me. Why this guy making $18 million is playing for the Philadelphia Phillies, the #1 team in the MLB. I get you have pitchers that aren't that good, but this guy can't pitch the ball to save his damn life. If you got to send him to hell and back to make sure that he pitches the baseball right, to even get a strikeout, honestly, I would do it. I don't care where you got to send him. You got to send him to the darkness retreat with Aaron Rodgers or something. You freaking do it. This guy has been so terrible that you have to think the most crazy and exotic things to figure out how to get this guy to pitch the ball a little bit better. Because this guy just has no clue what the hell he's doing. A 6.50 ERA as a starting pitcher. What are you, a rookie? Holy hell, man. The fact that this guy is making $18 million is ridiculous. I could go out. I swear to God, when Tobias Harris scored 0 points, I mean it when I say it. I could go out there and shoot 0 for 4 and score no points. I could literally do that. When you come into Taijuan Walker, I could literally give up. I could literally just lob it up there, pitch no strikeouts, 1 walk, and give up 6 runs. I could literally do that. And it's not an exaggeration. This guy is absolutely terrible. After this year, send him to Japan, send him to God knows where. I don't care where you got to send him, but this guy has got to go. I don't care if there's 1 year left on his contract. I get there's nothing really you can do about this at the current moment in time, but this guy has just been the epitome of a disgrace, a disaster, and every single synonym in between. I don't really know anything about pitching. I don't know the mechanics, the X's and O's. Cole, you could talk about that a lot better than I can. But guess what? Once again, I could go out there and give up 13 hits, 6 earned runs, and a walk with no strikeouts. You aren't gotta be absolutely kidding me. And Cole, you mentioned this to me yesterday. I'll steal your fire here a little bit. When the Phillies have Walker in there, it affects the whole lineup. These guys can't hit when these bum pitchers are in there. It completely takes the morale down. Absolutely terrible. An absolute disgrace. Cole, I'll ask you a couple questions here before. Well, I pretty much just one question.
Yeah, before you start that, I do want to debate what you just said. Okay. You said you could do the same as Tommy Walker. I don't think you could. I don't think you could do that bad because Weston Wilson was in the 9th inning and he didn't give up a run. Right.
That is actually true. Anyway.
One more thing. I was at the Orioles game on Friday in Baltimore because I was down there and then I went to D.C. And the atmosphere there was incredible. In the 8th inning, Santander hit a go-ahead grand slam to go up by 1. It was awesome, man. Yeah. I mean, and then it got followed up by a triple. I mean, it was so fun.
Wow.
Anyways.
Sounds like a great time. Anyway, now that we know that Walker should be moved to the bullpen or just anything to get him out of the starting pitching role. Who do you think should replace him once we take him out?
I said this in the Diamondback series. Kobe Allard. I don't know why we're not giving him more chances. He pitched solid. He's keeping us in the game. I mean, I really don't. I mean, Tyler Walker, he is not keeping us in the game. If anything, he's preventing us from winning. I mean, Kobe Allard, he's been solid his last couple outings. It's not like he's given up 19 through 4. He's given up 2, 3, 4 runs max. And this guy's kind of got a little chip on his shoulder. He's been in AAA most of the year. He just wants to go up and play for a big league team. So I want to see him.
Okay. Also one thing I did forget to mention, Garrett Stubbs. I really like what he's been doing. My grandfather and I, a few weeks ago, we're talking about should it be Stubbs or Martian. We're talking about their things. But I think Stubbs really showed in these last couple of games and the games that he has played why he deserves to be that backup catcher to JT Realmuto. And he played the backup spot really, really well. He was hitting the ball and whatnot. But anyway, moving on. We've been moving on to some UFC. I don't really care much to talk about the UFC right now. Obviously, Dana White said on an Instagram Live that he has Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira, and Max Holloway news. So we should be, I definitely know that I'm hyped up for that. I will say, I'll just, one fight I want to talk about here, Michael Morales. Watch out, man. Cole, he's ranked number 12th right now in the welterweight division. Obviously, we have a lot of welterweight fights that are in the works, I guess you could say. Shavkat versus Bilal, that could happen in the beginning of next year or the end of this year, depending on whether McGregor fights or not. And then obviously we have Usman. We have We have I just said that twice. So we have a lot. I can't really think off the top of my head, but we have a lot of welterweights trying to make their way up for the title. Most likely Shavkat versus Bilal is going to be the fight to make once the new year begins, most likely. But this guy, Michael Morales, man, I don't know if anybody can stop this guy. Literally, in a first-round knockout, a very nice knockout. He was obviously winning that first round. Again, he really had no chance. He was an underdog by so much. Great win for Michael Morales. But in the main event, I feel bad for Cannonier. Obviously, I didn't pick him to win this fight. I picked him on Stadium Live just because of the payout. And I thought he obviously had a chance. But the turnaround that he did, after losing to Imahab, or whatever the hell his name is, after that, controversial stoppage, I just don't know why he'd turn around and fight this quickly. You were still ranked number 5 in the middleweight division. If you would have won that fight against Imahab, you would have been, in contention for a middleweight title shot, probably in the near future, depending on what Robert Whittaker does and Sean Strickland. I'm not sure why he really would turn around this much. Barallo, he had a really good fight, really, really great fight. That cut on his eye was just absolutely nasty. So the fact that he was able to, really pull through was great. But he was really good striking wise. I thought he had very good defense. He got his hands up. He was able to avoid most of Cannonier's strikes. I thought that some people had a 2-2 going into the final round. I think that that's a good argument to make. But I had a 3-1 Barallo. I thought for the most part that he, really laid on the aggression. And I thought Cannonier got tired at some points. But once again, I don't know why that Cannonier turned around this quickly and fought this quickly. But what's next for Barallo? As I mentioned before, you have Sean Strickland's going to have to fight Duplessis, which is in next March, maybe next April. I'm not really sure. And then, depending on who wins Robert Whitaker and the Hamzat fight, saying that fight even happens, you'll have to see what happens there. So Baralo's definitely going to have to wait a little bit till he gets a opportunity. But I'm probably a year maybe, because once again, there are a lot of guys in line before he is. He just got here, so he's going to have to wait a little bit. He's probably going to have to get another top 5 win before he's able to get a title shot. And saying he gets that top 5 win is a bit of a long shot, in my opinion. Cole?
Yeah, I'll start with the main event. I agree. I had 3-1 Baralo. I mean, this fight was not even close. I don't have any much more on it. He was very, very good striking. And then Morales. I like Morales.
Yeah.
Rosas Jr. and then Morales for me.
Oh, yeah. Gee-wee-wees!
Those are my guys. But, yeah, I mean, the pre-fight odds. Morales at negative 1,150 is just nuts. And then, I mean, it did not take long for, him to win. I mean, only 4 minutes and 39 seconds. I mean, Magny? He barely even got any punches off. And then, Morales just kept hitting him. And then, eventually your body gives out. And he just, cooked him eventually. So, yeah, I enjoyed the fight. I thought it was pretty cool.
I mean,
I'm excited for Morales. I think he's top 10. I don't think he's 12.
I don't know. There's a lot of good welterweights right now. But you're probably right. But anyway, I mean, I'm loving what the UFC's doing right now. Obviously, we don't have an event this weekend. But the Contender Series has been great. I don't know if you've been catching up on that, Cole. But the Contender Series has been great. Lots of knockouts, lots of finishes. I'm pissed they didn't give my guy Finney a contract now. I don't know. That's a little... I don't know. I don't like what Dana White did there, but I digress. But yeah, we obviously have a lot of great UFC events going forward. On the 7th, we have Sean Brady versus Gilbert Burns. I mean, that's going to be that'll be a good fight. And those are 2 other welterweights that are trying to get back up there. Then you have, then we're moving into 306, O'Malley and Merab. That is, the odds seem to be changing every single day. 307 is going to be good. I mean, I don't think that Roundtree and Pereira deserve a fight. Or I don't think Roundtree deserves to fight Pereira. But actually, we do have a little bit of news. Now, I think this is going to be a great one. Brandon Royval versus Taraya in a flyweight fight. This is going to be a number 1 contenders fight, Cole. On free TV, you're going to get a number 1 contenders fight to see who is going to challenge Pantoja next for the flyweight championship, maybe after Car France, saying he gets a title fight after he just beat Steve Erceg. So I don't know. We could possibly see the number 1 contender here after that fight. But yeah, I forgot to mention this earlier. If you guys have been enjoying the, half-hour MMA talk, sports combat talk that we have been doing this summer, because we really have unlimited time, we're obviously going to have to stop that because, we have a limited amount of time in studio at the prep because there's obviously other stuff going on. Other people come in after us sometimes. So we obviously have stuff to get to during the school year. Obviously, my preseason starts at Cole. Swimming preseason starts in October and we end in February.
Wow.
I know.
I mean, baseball.
Baseball's like all year.
Yeah.
But you guys start on like Saturday.
Summer season, and I got practice next week.
Right. You guys have like don't you guys go on like Saturdays or something like that?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, I thought so.
During the winter.
Right. I knew you guys were like doing like stuff like that, but
we got football starting up in a minute.
Yeah, football starting. We got the preps playing on Saturday. The prep should not be ranked number 15.
Oh, that's just BS.
I get that we let Samaj Jones left, but some of these teams,
prep's way better than Trey Henning and Charlie Folk. Like they're both good.
They're both great. I mean, they say Charlie's gonna be one of the better players in the class of 2027.
Yeah, and you look at our defense.
Yeah, the defense is great.
It's not like we have to score, 50 points to win.
I know.
20 is fine.
Right.
Because
defense is great.
I don't even know if, you can get a first down in a quarter off of this defense. That's how good they are. Let me just stop.
I got you. Cole, let me tell you something. You know me. I'm trying to get on those broadcasts this year because what I have been doing.
Maybe we should get a broadcast together. That'd be insane if we get a broadcast together.
What I have been doing these past couple of years with this whole thing, with the whole Ryan the Great thing and building up my own brand, I think I deserve to get at least one. Come on now.
Yeah.
I think I deserve one.
How many games are there? 9?
I don't even know. I'd have to look at the schedule again. I think there's only a few because I don't know. We have to face the PCL teams. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way.
We fixed a couple of them though.
Right.
Fixed Roman, LaSalle.
Bonner.
I don't know if we did.
I don't know. Do they face Wood or Ronan? I don't know.
Yeah.
I know we don't face.
Come back to us.
I know we don't face Newman Goretti anymore. But actually, I'm gonna make too many people mad from that joke. Too many of my friends go to Newman Goretti, so you know what? I'm not gonna make that joke. But anyway, we're gonna move on before I get in trouble. We're gonna move on to some Dallas Cowboys news. Now they have been in the news the past couple of months for not signing their 3 guys, that being C.D. Lamb, Micah Parsons, and Dak Prescott. Now, you guys know how I feel about Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons. You guys can listen to my video about this. Actually, I do a video out about C.D. Lamb to make sure you guys go check that out. But now C.D. Lamb has officially signed a 4-year, $136 million contract extension with the Dallas Cowboys. That making him the second highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history, that being behind Justin Jefferson, who was also the top highest paid receiver at $35 million. What do you call it? I believe it's $100 million of this is guaranteed. Yes, $100 million guaranteed. And CeeDee Lamb gets a $38 million signing bonus, the largest ever given to a wide receiver in NFL history. Cole, the Cowboys finally get this deal done. Talk about this signing or re-signing.
Yeah, this is huge. They need to lock up, their number 1 wide receiver because if Brandon Cooks is your number 1 wide receiver, it's a problem. We saw what happened with, the Texans and him. Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert. It's all right, but, you could obviously have better. And while we're on the topic, I'll just give my thoughts on Dalvin Cook. Number 1 is washed, but number 2, he could have 100 yards this season, which would be incredible for him. They needed C.D. Lamb. If he did not re-sign, it'd be a big issue. It'd be a very, very big issue. And there were things going around on, Twitter or X and Instagram and stories and tweets. So, anyways, I wouldn't say I'm glad for the Cowboys, but they needed this. To stay in contention. The Commanders have improved a lot this offseason, so for them to get back their number 1 wide receiver, it's very, very big, and it's a lot of money.
Right. I said in my video that the Cowboys should have just done this 2 months ago. You could have had him paid less than A.J. Brown and Amon-Ra St. Brown. You can't tell me that anybody expected A.J. Brown to get a new contract. You can't do it. Amon-Ra was obviously supposed to get a new deal, but you could have had him. You could have just been paid less than him. If you could have just paid C.D. Lamb $31 million at the start of the year, knowing that Justin Jefferson was going to get more, then you would have been fine. Am I complaining? No, because I love seeing the Cowboys spend more money and ruin their own cap. Now, Cole, you know what I think about Dak Prescott. You know what I think the Cowboys should do with him. A lot of people don't seem to agree with that, especially in the media, but it's whatever. Micah Parsons still has 2 years left on his contract. I think he should at least wait a year because then that contract will look a little bit better in a couple of years. He wouldn't be, the 4th or 5th highest paid defensive end, linebacker, whatever he really is in the NFL. But on the field, this helps the Cowboys because they obviously need CeeDee Lamb. Without CeeDee Lamb, I would say they're a bottom 5 offense in the NFL. But with CeeDee Lamb, I'd say they're pretty average. They'll be probably within the top 15 just with CeeDee Lamb alone because he is probably about 95% of their offense. CeeDee Lamb is so great that he can run route and doesn't have to get out of his break to get open. I mean, that is how good CeeDee Lamb is. But I don't think this changes much, in my opinion. You're coming back with relatively the same offense minus Tony Pollard. So, yeah, I don't really see what the whole deal is here. And you're obviously adding Dalvin Cook. You lost part of your offensive line. I get that Pro Football Focus ranked them number 10th in the offensive line, but a lot of things can go wrong with them. With the amount of speed rushers we have in the NFC, even in the NFC East alone, that comes to Brian Burns, that comes to Bryce Huff. So you have a lot of speed rushers here in the NFC East, and these new offensive tackles, who I don't even know who they're going to be, you really have to figure it out. I mean, you lost Tyron Smith, you lost Baye Daz, whatever the hell his name is. Zach Martin always has a chance to get injured, and then Tyler Guyton's only a rookie, so how much can he really help at the end of the day? So unless he has a Landon Dickerson type rookie season, I don't think that he's going to be able to lead this offensive line. It's got to be Zach Martin, and who knows if he's going to be able to stay healthy. So that, I think, compromises your run game, which isn't really that good because obviously you have Ezekiel Elliott, who is old and slow, and he's going to be running right through that A-gap. And I would argue that when they face a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, who have very good blitzing linebackers like Devin White, would be able to eat that up very quickly. And then Dalvin Cook, who likes to bounce to the outside. The Eagles have Zach Bond. The Eagles have Jeremiah Trotter Jr. The Eagles have Nakobe Dean, guys that really can read a run and can read a stretch or a toss and get to that outside and try and make a play there and cover that up. So really cover up the sideline, so they're forced to run into the middle of the field where you have all the defensive tackles. So I would argue that when they're facing a team like the Eagles, just for example, because obviously the 49ers have players like this too, they're not going to be able to, really get past these guys or really, do much on the run, which then would, I think, compromise your pass game because teams know you're not going to be running the ball the majority of the time, and the majority of the targets are going to go to CeeDee Lamb. Brandon Cooks has one route in his arsenal, and that's the corner route. Jake Ferguson, I get, is a decent tight end, but how much can he really do? He's only a tight end at the end of the day, unless you're Travis Kelce or George Kittle, which he is not. You're not going to really be carrying this Cowboys team to victory. So I would say that on the field, this doesn't change. This changes something. The fact that you need, CeeDee Lamb out there. But I still have the Cowboys going 9-8, making the playoffs. I think is a long shot at this point. I don't think Dak Prescott is worth his money, and I think people are frustrated right now in the Cowboys organization. I don't think they're going to have a good year, Cole. I have them going 9-8. Anything else? All right. So now we'll move on here. We'll be talking about the New England Patriots next, who, I mean, they had a deep, not the worst preseason in the world. Obviously, Drake May did not perform up to par from what people were hoping him to. Obviously, if you rank him out of the rookie quarterbacks who performed in the preseason, you would not rank him too highly. Cole, you have written down on our script here, Patriots in shambles with 3 question marks. So I'm going to let you start this one off and talk about this New England Patriots team.
Jacoby Brissett is the starting quarterback for the Patriots. So here's what's, you just drafted a guy with the number 3 overall pick, and you want to go backwards to a veteran, Jacoby Brissett? I mean, I understand Drake May didn't play up to par, but I mean, in the preseason, but neither did Jacoby Brissett. He was like under 50% completion, I'm pretty sure, and he had an interception. He had like 56 yards or whatever. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of Brissett, not a fan of May, not a fan of the Patriots. I think they stink. Running back wise, they are okay. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson is solid, and Antonio Gibson is a okay backup running back. Their wide receivers are nothing. I mean, they're dust. Kendrick Bourne, Mario Douglas is okay. Polk, I'm actually a semi-fan of Polk because I did draft him in RTG's Fantasy League. Hunter Henry's not a good tight end. I mean, their defense is nothing to. It's traded away Judon. Christian Gonzalez is very good, but other than that, they don't really have much upside. I don't think this team is going to be good for many years. You lose Belichick, you lose. I just think it's been going downhill ever since Brady left. Obviously, who am I kidding? This team went from Brady in 2018 to Jacoby Brissett in 2024. That is just, it does not take a football know-it-all to realize that is just horrible. Shout out James Hansen. Your team stinks, dude. I'm looking at this lineup right now. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is literally the secondary lineup for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that they could beat them with the secondary lineup. This team is horrible. They're just horrible at drafting. Draft Tyquan Thornton? Yeah, well, he's going to be out of the league soon. There's just nothing to, look forward to. Drake May, you can look forward to him, but I don't know how much playing time he's going to get. You better hope Jacoby Brissett stinks it up in the first couple of weeks so he gets the playing time. But other than that, I just think this team is a 5-win team, maybe 4-win team. I'm not surprised that this happened to them, but it's going to be tough for the Patriots fans for years to come.
The Patriots had a chance to, revive themselves with Mac Jones. It's just that he fell off a cliff 2 years ago. There was a time in his rookie year where they were the number 1 seed in the AFC, and then after that year, they lost in the playoffs to the Bills in the first round. They just completely, fell off a cliff and just didn't look like the way he did in his rookie year. Now he's a backup to Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. So, I think that was obviously a problem. That's going to set you back a couple of years. I think you're looking a little too far into this Jacoby Brissett, Drake May thing. I don't think the Patriots think that Drake May is ready to start. And honestly, the way he performed in the preseason, I don't really think he's ready myself. I think that starting Brissett and just letting May just sit there a couple of weeks, it's not the worst thing in the world. I think that, you're probably right. After a couple of weeks, that Drake May will probably get in there. The Patriots are in for a rebuild here. They need a number 1 wide receiver. They're going to have to fix up their linebacker core, their defensive line. Your corners seem to be all right, led by Christian Gonzalez. So your secondary for now is not terrible. You obviously have a superstar in the making there. But I think you're right. Bad drafting over these past couple of years with Belichick. And just, Mac Jones not being up to what he played in his rookie year. There was obviously people saying that you should draft Marvin Harrison with the number 3 overall pick and just wait next year to take your guy, possibly Shedeur Sanders, Quinn Ewers, depending on who comes out. But I guess the Patriots really like Drake May. Now, I like May myself. I really liked him in his, I think it was his, 2 years ago. I was a big fan of what he was doing in North Carolina. Last year, I think he took a drop off. Still is taking number 3 overall here. But, this is just the season of Drake May, the developmental season of Drake May. They really want to get him going here. I think Jacoby Brissett is just a short-term answer. I think he would probably know that himself. He's been around long enough to know that he is not going to be around for too long, and that Drake May will eventually get the keys to the kingdom whenever the Patriots see fit. We'll move on to our second to final segment here, where was some controversy in the NBA, a bit in the media here, where Anthony Edwards took some shots at Magic Johnson, or not really direct shots at Magic Johnson, but saying that Jordan was the only player with skill back then. Magic Johnson obviously responded, and he said that I don't talk to guys about championships, which is an interesting statement. And then Isaiah Thomas obviously jumped in. He gave a little more of an analytical answer when he talked about how the NBA is more set to the offensive players. The offensive players standards, or it's more suited. It's more fair for the offensive guys. That's what I'm trying to say. But I'm going to beg the question here. Is Anthony Edwards getting a bit overconfident? In my opinion, yes. Obviously, you had a very good playoffs last year. It ascended you into superstardom in the NBA. People are talking about you as the next face of the NBA. But Magic Johnson is not wrong. You don't have a championship. You are not a top 75 or even 100 player in NBA history. Right. I don't think that really Anthony Edwards should be really talking like this. You are a great basketball player, no doubt. But you need to at least go win a championship, or at least get to the NBA Finals to be talking like this. Anthony Edwards is a really great player. Once again, we obviously had the debate last year with James Hansen, with Anthony Edwards and Jason Tatum. Now, obviously, I won that one. Between me and James Hansen, obviously I always win that. But you gotta before you go talking about anything, you at least gotta do some winning first. I mean, you lost 4-1 to the Dallas Mavericks in the semifinals. Nobody expected that. I expected them to get to the NBA Finals. I didn't expect them to beat Boston, but I expected them to at least get to the finals. So, and also you're playing in Minnesota. Minnesota hasn't done nothing since Kevin Garnett. I mean, come on now. You can't be talking like this against Hall of Famers and guys who have won multiple championships. You can't be talking like this early. I mean, you gotta at least win a championship, or at least get to the finals first before you start talking like this. But I'm honestly, I mean, he has right to talk trash against today's NBA. He's probably better than 95% of the NBA currently. The only team I would probably take over the Minnesota Timberwolves is the Denver Nuggets, and that's even debatable in my opinion. Maybe even the Oklahoma City Thunder. Both those are debatable. The Timberwolves arguably have the best team in the West right now. But yeah, if I'm Anthony Edwards, you got to just go do something first before you can go talking on Hall of Famers like this. Cool?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Ryan. He is very skillful, but yeah, I think he's getting a little bit too confident right now.
I'm not saying he can't win a championship. It's just...
I don't know.
Just go do it first.
Yeah.
All right, anyway. We're starting with a new segment here today. Now, I've been talking about, obviously we have Ryan's Rants. That's my segment. We always are open to ideas. Now, Cole came up with this one himself. Now, Cole will be having a new segment called 5 Questions. Now, I don't want to give too much into it, so I'll let Cole explain it.
All right, so pretty much it's just 5 different questions. It's pretty much like either or. So I'm going to give you like 2 guys, 2 teams, or whatever, and you're just going to pick. Like, viewers can do it too. Like, it's not subject to me and Ryan. So, all right, first one. Who are you picking as your franchise cornerstone? Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani?
Now, see, I'll make my answers quick because I don't want to take up too much time. Right now, I would say Shohei Ohtani because he can pitch and hit at the same time, and he does both exceptionally well. I also would say that when Ohtani signed with the Dodgers, everybody was like, they're winning the World Series. When Aaron Judge re-signed with the New York Yankees, nobody really thought about it. Everybody was just saying he got a lot of money and great job for him. He potentially is overpaid. I think when you have a pitcher and a hitter and someone who can lead in both categories, that's someone you want to build your team around.
I agree. I am going to take Ohtani, although I do think Judge is the best hitter the MLB has seen since Barry Bonds.
All right. Yeah.
On Young Guns. Would you rather have Ellie De La Cruz or Dylan Cruz?
I'll say Ellie De La Cruz just because of the fact that he can do everything on the field. He can field well. He can hit. He has the speed of the Flash. He is a very, very good player, really on the rise here, a future superstardom. If he can build Cincinnati into a contender, then we'll definitely be talking about him in this franchise cornerstone sort of thing in the next couple of years, just because Ellie can do pretty much anything on the field. Obviously, he had some up and downs last year, but he has really proven that he can be a future superstar. I'll say Ellie.
I agree with you, Ryan.
All right.
When you think of a five-tool athlete, you think of Ellie De La Cruz. Obviously, Dylan Cruz has not been, in the league. He's been in for like 2 or 3 games. But Ellie De La Cruz, I'm definitely going to take him just because the speed factor. He's a little bit like Fernando Tatis. He has that swagger. You can really market a guy like that. I will take Ellie De La Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Number 3, better odds to win the NBA title. I'm making them really close. So, Mavericks or Sixers?
Now you said win the title.
Yeah.
That I don't know. That is something because winning the title is different than getting there, in my opinion. I will still say the Philadelphia 76ers. Because of the fact that the East is so wide open, you have obviously the West is open. Actually, no, I won't say wide open. I'll say there's an easier path to get there. Not to win it, but just to get there. Because you have to face the Knicks and Celtics. The Bucks, are they really that great anymore? You obviously have Middleton, Lopez, Lillard, and Giannis, but Lillard doesn't really seem to be what he once was. Middleton doesn't seem to be what he once was. Same thing with Lopez. Giannis is obviously great, but, he can't carry a whole team with not that much depth over the Knicks, Sixers, and Celtics, who have some of the best depth in the NBA. I'd say the Sixers, just because you really only have to beat 2 top teams. Now, these teams are probably 2 of the top teams in the NBA, even better than some of the teams in the West. But the Sixers, I think, had the pieces to do it. With the Mavericks, you got to get through Oklahoma City, Denver, Minnesota. Who else? Phoenix, and then New Orleans is obviously in there. Sacramento. You could potentially throw the Lakers in there.
Throwing Golden State.
Right. You could always throw in some of those teams. So there's definitely, and then the Grizzlies are ascending. The Spurs. So there's a lot of teams you have to beat to get to the NBA Finals in the West. Just to get there is the biggest problem. So I'll say the Sixers.
A lot of agreement here, Ryan. I'm saying
Right.
Sixers as well. I am a little biased, though, but I agree. I think they have what it takes. I had them pretty much the same last year. Both 2 superstars. And then, Mavs, they add Klay Thompson. Sixers, they add Paul George. I think Paul George is a little bit better, so I'll give the upper hand to the Sixers. Number 4, better odds to win the World Series, the Dodgers or the Yankees?
I'll say the Yankees just because of the fact there's a few reasons. One, I think those guys have some experience. Obviously, Judge, Soto, they have experience in the playoffs. Soto obviously won a World Series. You have a very, very good pitching core led by Garrett Cole. Your bullpen is very, very great. The Cole, we were talking about that a couple of weeks ago, how they have one of the best bullpens in the MLB. So, yeah, you have 2 sluggers in Judge and Soto. They're ranked number 2 of all time in back-to-back home runs. Or something like that. And then, you have some other guys that can get it done. Volpe is having a very good sophomore season. And you just have a bunch of other guys that can really get the job done. And then when it comes to the Dodgers, no matter who's on the team, they choke every year in the playoffs. They win 100 games, but then they can't get past the second round. And then there's always that team that just for some reason, whether it's the Phillies or the Diamondbacks, gets out of the wild card and then just goes on a tear. So I would say the Yankees.
Gonna have to agree with you again, Ryan.
All right.
I go first the next time. So yeah, I will take the Yankees. I agree. Garrett Cole has also had some experience in the playoffs. The Dodgers, they lose. I mean, their starting pitching, although it's good, it's definitely taking a step down. Obviously, you have Stone, Yamamoto, Kershaw. You got a bunch of guys, but I don't see a guaranteed win there. Like I don't see like for example, like Garrett Cole or Carlos Rodon. I'm like, they got a real chance. I think they're the favorite. I don't think I could say that with the with the pitching matchups for the Dodgers in the NL, because you face guys like Wheeler Nola, you face guys like Fried, Morton. Fried and Ronaldo Lopez. Who else? Milwaukee. You got Peralta and some other guy. I don't know. I can't really think off the top of my head.
I got you.
But yeah, Yankees. I think that their path could be a lot easier. I do think they will win the AL East. It's the AL East. Orioles. They've taken some hits, especially with the injuries. I think they'll be the 1 seed. They'll get the bye. The only other team that I think could, really, give them a run for their money is the Astros. And, we know, they don't have the greatest starting rotation either. Obviously got Blanco, Valdez, but, Verlander hasn't been good in the playoffs or the World Series. So, yeah, I'm just going to say the Yankees.
All right.
And then, last but not least, number 5. Who would you rather have as your ace? Patrick Corbin or Taijuan Walker?
Oh, God. Anything's better than Walker at this point. Anything's better than Walker. Holy hell. You can't get that bad with Corbin. Corbin has not looked that bad. I would have to say Corbin because anything's better than Walker.
I will say, recency bias, Patrick Corbin just won 7 innings scoreless, so I will take him. But over the last 5 years, Patrick Corbin has had the most losses in the MLB. I think he has triple digits. Maybe not triple digits, but like 57 or something. Yeah, not triple digits, never mind. But anyway, he has the most losses by like double digits. But I will take Patrick Corbin. I think we need to shake some things up. But your ace, that's just brutal if your ace is Patrick Corbin.
How much worse can it really get after that?
Yeah. And then one other question I know it's 5 questions, but do you think Joey Votto's a Hall of Famer?
Who?
Joey Votto.
Oh, I don't know. That's a good one.
I'll give my thoughts first.
All right.
I think he is. When you think about the Reds, they don't have a real, franchise guy, They have Johnny Bench, they have Barry Larkin. You could throw Pete Rose in there. But, I'll bring up the stats really quickly. But Joey Votto, real quick. I'll bring up the stats because I was thinking about this earlier. So he has over 2,000 hits, over 1,000 RBIs, over 1,300 walks. He's batting .294 for his career. I think that's a Hall of Famer. He's led the league in intentional walks multiple times. He doesn't have a World Series, but he does have an MVP, 6-time All-Star, Gold Glover. He's led the league in on-base percent. He has a over 400 career on-base percentage. He's led the league in on-base percentage like 7 times. Led the league in walks multiple times. He obviously had an MVP. He finished second in MVP voting in 2017, third in MVP voting in 2015. And then he had that insane year in 2021 when he was 37. where he had, in 2020, 36 home runs as a 37-year-old. So I think that he is a Hall of Famer. 920 OPS, 144 OPS plus. I do think he's a Hall of Famer. Obviously not first ballot. I think it's going to take multiple years, probably 10 plus years for him to get inducted. But I do think it will eventually happen. I think he's, the face of the franchise for the Reds of all time. Ryan?
Excuse me. Off the top of my head, I'll say yes. I don't know. I have to go back and forth with myself on this because of the fact that he never could win. Like you could have left the Reds. Like you just never won anything. You could have all the MVPs, everything, but you didn't win anything. If Russell Wilson never won a Super Bowl, would he be an MVP or would he be a Hall of Famer? I don't think so. He never won an MVP. I don't think he ever led the league in passing yards or anything, or touchdowns or anything like that. So he never won anything. Just because you can do everything individually, you have to win. I don't know. I'd have to go back and forth with myself on this, but for right now, I'll say yes, just because he was great back in his day. A little bit of a report here. Not a little bit, but Tom Brady will not be allowed to criticize the refs as a broadcaster as a part of his attempt to purchase the Raiders. Effectively, immediately, Brady will not be allowed into production meetings, practices, team facilities, despite having to call games for Fox. That is per the AP. That is an interesting one right there. But so I don't know. We'll have to see here what happens with Tom Brady.
Can't make fun of the refs.
He can't criticize them because he's going to own the Raiders.
Oh, that's just brutal.
I know. But anyway.
What happens if you do? Get fined?
I would think so, probably. Yeah. Obviously, he can't. I don't think Fox wouldn't do anything because they're a private company. They don't. Yeah. They're the one who hired him.
And it's just pocket change for him.
Right. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did at some point. But
yeah, of course. Owners do it. Some owners do it. It doesn't really.
It doesn't matter. It's pocket change for everybody.
Right. But how much are you getting out of this Foxy? Like $500 million? Something like that?
Something like that. You want me to stat check you?
Yeah, go ahead. I think it's $500 million. 10 years, $500 million, something like that.
10 years, $375.
$375. All right. I don't know why I thought it was $500. I guess I'm thinking Mahomes money.
Yeah, but it's still insane.
Crazy. Anyway.
Yeah.
I know.
3.7, $37.5 million a year.
God damn, bro. Why can't I get that? I've been doing, how long have I been doing broadcasting for?
Well, think about this. That's less than what Tobias Harris was making last year.
That is true. That is very true. That's actually pretty sad.
Contracts just...
That's actually pretty sad. All right, anyway. We're going to move on here to our final segment of the day. This is not the first this is not the first edition of this segment, and it is here to stay, just like Cole's 5 questions, we'll call it. Anyway, we got Ryan's rants. Cole, give me the first topic.
Dana White continues to defend John Jones.
This is getting honestly ridiculous, man. How can you say John Jones is the number 1 pound for pound when 1, hasn't fought in over 500 days, and 2, is ducking the interim champion, that being Tom Aspinall? Imagine if John Jones loses to Stipe Miocic, Cole. I don't know what Dana White's going to go into that press conference. The media is going to absolutely eat him alive. He's getting to fight with media people, this, that, and the other. This is ridiculous. You don't got anything better to talk about than John Jones being the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world. I get what he's trying to do. This is a marketing tactic. Obviously, if you talk John Jones, then obviously people are going to watch UFC 309 and they're going to buy the MSG pay-per-view. Now, I was going to get it regardless, but maybe a casual fan who, isn't really thinking about buying that pay-per-view. It's just so interesting because all you hear about is John Jones. You want to see if he can actually win his fight against probably the greatest heavyweight of all time. I'm not sure why Dana White just has to keep doing it every time he talks, man. But the memes are actually getting pretty funny. Anyway, next topic.
Dalvin Cook getting overhyped once again.
I mean, this is just ridiculous. I already talked about this earlier. He gets a bounce to the outside, and he's tackled within the first 4, not even within 4 yards of the line of scrimmage. I mean, this is getting honestly ridiculous with all these Cowboys fans trying to say that this guy's going to be the second coming of Jesus. I mean, come on, stop saying this. You know this guy's washed. Your other running back is washed. You wouldn't have signed this guy if Ezekiel Elliott wasn't washed. So let's pump the brakes here on the overhypingness or whatever of Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, and we know Donald's better than him.
Right.
Third, Mayweather keeps fighting.
I didn't even know Floyd Mayweather was fighting the other day. I mean, this is getting ridiculous. Floyd, how old are you? You're like 50-something. Mike Tyson's like 60. Why do these guys keep feeling the need to fight? Are they spending their money on vacation homes or something? Are they where are they spending their money to the point where they need to fight more? I get you having itch to get back in the ring, but goddamn, man, how old are you? Nobody. At some point, you gotta just stop. At some point, you gotta think about your health. At some point, man. I mean, what the hell's going on around here? How can you keep just keep fighting and just keep putting your body through this sort of stuff? How hard can your training camps really be? I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, it's taking up everybody's time. It's taking up my social media platform. Hand the keys to the kingdom to somebody a bit younger. Like, stop fighting like all this. You don't need it anymore. Just come on. I don't know. It's getting ridiculous. Anything on these topics, Cole?
I got nothing.
All right. So, as I mentioned, we might not be back for next week. If we're not back for next week, Cole, prediction, Eagles versus Packers.
I got Eagles winning.
All right.
I will say 28-20.
All right. Now, I'm not going to give my prediction because obviously my prediction has to be saved for my YouTube video. I think we had a very successful summer here on the CR7 Podcast. We made a UFC fan out of Cole. Cole, will we say we made a UFC fan out of you?
I think we did.
All right, that's great. Next WWE. Next is WWE. So we'll try that. Maybe that'll be our mission for the school year. But yeah, very successful summer. Thank you all to have watched during the summer. Obviously, we wanted to keep this going. We were told, by the people at WSJP that we should keep this going, that we should keep doing our podcasts. And obviously, we have thrived in that, in my opinion. I'm sure Cole and everybody else who has watched would agree. And yeah, we're looking for a successful 2024 and 2025 year with a lot new, with a lot new things to be added. Crazy things happen.
We are branching out.
Yeah.
We'll keep it. I think we should keep it under wraps.
Yeah, we'll keep that. Yeah, we'll
keep it under wraps. You'll probably know sometime at the beginning of the year.
Right.
Oh wait, you already said it in the beginning.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys will be seeing
interviews.
Right. So. Yep. Interviews, stuff like that. So make sure you guys go subscribe to WSJP's YouTube. I always say that at the end of my videos. So make sure you guys go subscribe to WSJP's YouTube. That is where you can find the rest of our podcasts for the next 8 months, 10 months, whatever. And then obviously next summer we will I assume we'll be back on here doing podcasts for you guys. Now maybe during some of the breaks, maybe during Christmas break we'll get on here and we'll do some shows. Times that we can't do shows, we'll just come on here and we'll do them. So we obviously have this if we can't do a show on WSJP's YouTube. But for now, that will do it for the summer editions of the CR7 Podcast. 13 of them in the books. We will see you guys potentially next week. In 2 weeks, you guys can obviously always find me here on YouTube. I'm always talking. I'm once again live at 8 o'clock tonight Eastern time for Colorado versus North Dakota State. I'll be commentating that game. And yeah, we will see you.
And one thing before I leave. And if you don't see me, I'll be on the Twitter. Follow that CR7 Podcast on X.
Maybe you have to make your own individual YouTube. We gotta come up with a name for you. Maybe Maybe we'll think about that for the future. I mean, I don't know how old was I when I did this. I've been doing this for like 5 years, something like that. I don't even know. I've been doing commentating for like 5 years. But anyway, YouTube started a long time ago, and people always pull up the younger clips of me just being an absolute ridiculous wacko. But we will not get into that for now. We will see you when we see you. Possibly most likely in 2 weeks, I will say. And yeah, we will see you later. Peace.